Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Gnosis. Well, I want to talk about my interview with Art Bell quickly here. Now, I was one of the guests on his show before it went national. He was doing this kind of metaphysical other side area show on Friday nights. And he had people come on, and I was one of them. He was looking for guests, of course, and this one he was just starting out and slowly expanding into the national market. And I sent him a little fax stating who I was and that I ran this organization, and which was the International Guild of Occult Sciences. And as such, surprisingly, he got right back to me and wanted me on his show immediately. So we did that on a Friday night. I think it was 3 to 5 hours that I was on that show. I don't remember. It was quite a long time where that he spoke with me. Now, the whole idea is he knew absolutely nothing about the occult sciences. And while I did talk about techno-shamanism and other things, he in general had little or no information on anything. So you got to remember that people are under the impressions that it's difficult to get onto some shows. And it may be, but if they are shows that are on frequently, they're looking for guests. It's difficult to get everyone and for people to coordinate with you, especially if you're not overly known, when at that time was the case. You need to fill airtime, and you've got to have interesting people on there so that you get ratings. And a lot of the top people may or may not be available, and will they go on your show? Well, when you're popular, they will, for better or worse. Now, Art Bell was basically just an ex-Navy radio guy who was put up by a whole bunch of other people that picked him out for one reason or another, maybe because he was probably had some connection to the military-industrial complex, probably the intelligence, and was in a particular area at that time that the people who were sponsoring, because this show was put together by and paid for by the intelligence agencies through different people. This is documented in the book Seer by Angela Thompson Smith. And you can get kind of the whole story of how that started, the usual culprits, General Alexander, Targ, all the people, the usual group of the same old boring people that you find everywhere. Joe McGonigal, the same old story. The same government whores that are everywhere. So I went on his show and, of course, was there for quite some time. And, of course, talking about occultism in the 80s on a national radio like that. And, of course, we talked about everything using magic, using these other things, trying to get people to open up to this. And he was very negative to it. Giving me his Christian viewpoint on everything, saying how important Jesus was. It's amazing how he changed from that. And he really brought the show down to, because he had nothing to say, down to a basic argument about Christianity, which was a pretty much waste of time. People came on, and this is the usual stuff, then they would come on and state, well, you're just doing this for money, and it would get into this argument against Jesus and other things. But, I don't remember the whole show all that well. This was about 30 years ago. But while it was fun to a degree, responding to people, and it's always fun to respond to different people and calls, and of course there were lots of supporters as well, people that were into this, people who talked about their own experiences with magic and how some people were empowered by it and how they were manifesting things and how others, one lady called up and said she saw how magic actually killed a person. So there certainly is that group out there, and as I said, this was before he really went big time national with his show that he spoke nothing but that about. But this is an interesting, again, the problem is when you get people that are not really educated in this area, they really can't really make or do good interviews because they don't know the subject matter. This is the big problem with everyone that's followed him. They really don't have a background on this. They had many different commentators from Hilly Rose to other ones that were on there that, just knew nothing about this area of subject matter. Or if they did, they had read a little bit about it. trying to get out there and getting the information the way it should be given out there. Questioning somebody, knowing the subject matter is important. To have probing, important questions and not let people just babble on. Bell was never a confronter overly. I was surprised he was so adamant about his belief systems to me personally. This, of course, changed, but, Bell was always looking for entertainment. I don't know if he took any of this very seriously. It was basically entertainment. It was a show, and I don't know how much of it he believed or not. He didn't do much assisting people, unlike Bill Jenkins, the famous radio commentator out of Los Angeles in the 80s up to the 90s. He really was active. He went out and did things. He helped inventors. He showed up at shows and participated. He publicized people. He helped get products out there, including free energy and other devices. Now, this is a man who's very dedicated, and he used to defend his guests and try and help them in any way they can. Well, that's not what Art Bell did. Art Bell just sat there and did nothing. He supported no one. He wrote some books. He filled his pockets. And that was about it. And wasn't very well read about anything. And I don't really consider him a good interviewer. He was pretty much just there. He didn't have the background. He didn't read anything. And he overly believed people that probably paid him. He used to push the Levitron, which is basically two magnets that push apart from each other and kind of looks cool, as this great levitation device. Why? Because he was getting paid a fortune to do it. So it was really a goofy tool, and he wouldn't call it magnetic levitation. He would just say what a cute little thing this was, inferring that this is some sort of anti-gravity device to sell this very expensive item. So I think they started off at $80 or something. I'm not sure if he was selling them at that price or not, but I mean, there's very little credibility with a guy like him. And again, he gets in with the same old people. He was really backed by the same old people. Apparently, later in life, he had some sort of problems with threats and everything. Well, who knows what's really going on there? But the bottom line is that these shows, like everything else, you can't believe anybody on them or anybody who is a commentator, because they are either ignorant, corrupt, or both. Until next time.